What's up, guys? Studfit here. Better late than never. I'm here for another episode of The Rundown. I'm joined by a special guest, which I'll introduce here in a second. But for those of you who did not see the brief strat of the week video that I posted over the weekend, unfortunately, Antilev had a short-term but very serious health issue that came up that unfortunately prevented him from doing anything, working, being able to do anything with his sheets, including his top 10. So we were not able to produce the rundown, the slides, anything until we had the top 10. And huge shout out to Larry98, like the epic champion of the community that he is, doing all things data and sheet related, has been able to replicate the top 10 so that we have a top 10, that we have information to give to you. And he literally got it out yesterday. And shout out to Alberto, who helped put together the slides overnight. And so we now have the rundown. So thank you so much for your patience. This may not be quite as long. We'll be kind of focusing on week 2. But with Antilev out for the count, this one of my favorite sayings from Arnold Schwarzenegger is never let a good crisis go to waste. So we're using this opportunity to bring back Nap. Nap joined us on a previous episode of The Rundown when he won our member multiplayer contest then, and now he's a 2-time winner, winning this past May. So thanks to the member multiplayer Monday contest, one of Nap's prizes was being able to join us for the rundown. So welcome back, Nat. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. A pleasure to be back again, once again.
Absolutely, man. We had a lot of fans that came from the last time that you were on, so it's nice to have a nice familiar face, and you brought a lot of good hot takes and some good information last time, so I expect nothing less. First off, I have to shout out to my fans and the Studfit members, the members of the Stud fam. Honestly, when it comes to this channel, this is priority number maybe 5 or 6 on my list, behind being a great dad, being a great employee, a husband, the follower of the Lord, etc. So ultimately, coming out with the rundown and coming out with things to do on this YouTube channel is not a top priority, but thanks to these members, I gotta always bring in the goods, guys. So even with as many delays as we've had this year, we've been coming out with the content. And honestly, it has to do with every name on this list, and some who aren't, because I haven't had the time literally to update this list. I actually will do it this upcoming tour. I'm actually looking forward to updating, because there's so many great members that are now part of the server that I want to introduce you guys to. But I just want to, whether you're a former member, a current member, just thank you so much for the support. Literally, if it wasn't for the support, I would not keep doing this, especially through all the obstacles that we've seen here this year. Between getting a new laptop and a variety of other data access issues and stuff like that. So thank you guys, thank you members, and also thank you Nap for jumping in. Let's first get to the new drivers this tour. So we have a princess tour, all things princess related. As a big fan of Pink, I'm enjoying the tour so far. There's so many great tracks. Things like Royal Raceway that I love. That's literally probably my favorite track of all time. And so I'm enjoying this tour. I'm hopefully you're enjoying it too, Nap. But let's talk about Daisy Me Racing Suit. She's not quite as exciting as our next Me suit that we'll talk about next. But what are your thoughts on Daisy Me and her starting coverage?
So one of the things that a lot of people noted out when this Me suit first came out is the fact that it has all 4 of the Daisy circuits, which is, it's honestly crazy for a Me suit to have all 4 variants of the new track in its starting coverage. I mean, of course, one of them is a level 8 and the other one is level 6, but it has 2 of them at level 1 already, including the one week 2, which doesn't have that many, it's a hard track to cover. Of course, the yellow Me suit is there, but for a new player, you can have this Me suit as a great, it's a decent cover option, because these other tracks are also not bad. It has 2 Tunnel Plains 3 and a Peach Gardens RT. Those 2 tracks are also a part of Year 4, and they're not considered old tracks yet. So I think this is probably one of the strongest starts for a Me suit, if not the strongest so far.
I agree with you there. Even with the triple bananas, it's not a bad option. We've been talking about it in our server. I think there's always a shelf life of every driver in the game specifically. You know, obviously with top skills being the longest shelf life. Think about shelf life, like, you know, milk shelf life is like 3 days. You know, other stuff, it's a lot like, you know, canned goods are a lot longer. And so in some ways, like, you know, these non-me suits, their shelf life, even the ones who have got, like, you know, there's been some that have just dropped off. Like, all their coverage seemed to be getting overlapped with brand new drivers. We had a lot of drivers that came out last summer that overtook a lot of the pretty decent, like I think about Luigi Vacation as an example. And he had a really good value. He was number one driver even for a little bit. And then all of a sudden he just dropped off. He literally died in the game. I had him triple captain. I haven't used him in quite some time, maybe once or twice. But that's a good example where maybe his shelf life was like 4 or 5 months. I think the average non-me skill driver, that shelf life has been going down and down. Even some of the drivers like Meowser that had such a great year, I mean, he had probably a 9-month shelf life. Unfortunately, Daisy Tydress is starting to kind of hit the end of her shelf life as well. And really, I mean, when it comes to, say, like you know, there's even right now like maybe a 1 month, 2 month peak for some of these Luigi drivers. When we think about Kitsune and Chef Luigi, etc. But when it comes to me's, like, I mean, I know we were talking about it on our server. Kareem was mentioning I should invest in the Nabbit me suit and the bronze me suit, and like how much value they would give me, and these things have been out for over a year. So any of these me's are that have a plus skill or a greater skill are pretty solid investments. They could be good, really good for you for over a year, which I think when it comes to a lot of us that have invested in the meta, it's just really, really strong. So having triple bananas is actually not a bad option for you. Obviously, giant banana steals a lot of the thunder because of that giant. It's obviously fun just having that giant banana there, but you know, certainly extra number of hits as well, and there's a lot of great benefits to it. But triple bananas is really good as in addition to same strat of kind of using the ticket and then hard closing it if you don't get the right frenzy. But let's actually transition from that point into the heart me suit or pink me suit. It was one of the things that I was really interested in, and I got challenged on the tour reaction from my good friend Luca to invest in it. It does get 3 tracks in this tour. But Nap, what's your thoughts on the pink me suit?
Yeah, as you mentioned right now, it has 3 tracks released this tour. One of them, of course, level 8, and the 2 other ones are, well, all 3 of them are peach circuits. The issue with this me suit is that you won't be able to utilize the tracks that it released this tour, because by the time you get it, the tour is going to be over, because this is a week 2 rank reward. So you're not going to you're not going to capitalize on the use of those new tracks, and the rest of these tracks are actually very old. Royal Raceway, although it's a very good track, it's very old. It's an established track with a lot of really good options on it, so you're not going to get much out of it. Even Coconut Mall, it's been released about like 15 months ago, so it's now considered an old track. And the Peach Orange is also a level 6 unlock, so I don't see many people taking this suit like very, very far into the levels, unless you're either a fan of it, you like the color pink, or you're a fan of the skill. But this just seems like one of those suits that you're going to collect just to get those 10 extra base points for the other suits.
Yeah, man. I think for multiplayer and others, it might be appealing, but it's so tough. I mean, if you look at there, every time we show these, and unfortunately the top 2 got cut off for some reason, but we always show the top skill drivers that also cover these tracks, and unfortunately there's just a lot of great skills covering these tracks that are probably going to be better to invest in than the Heart Me. But we'll see what comes up going forward. As it gets more.
I think the thing with the top 2 tracks is that there's no plus skill regular drivers for me on those tracks.
There we go. All right, well that's good news. Certainly that's exciting for Peach Circuit and Peach Circuit RT. Yes. Obviously those are our new tracks. They're shorter tracks, so maybe a double coin isn't a bad option for you. But yeah, man. I mean, if you really need those that coverage and you're invested in the Mii's already, not a bad option for you. these will be recirculating tracks. It's one of the benefits of not having a Nitro Tour or City Tour, etc. Let's get into the Super. Obviously, it's nice. I'm glad that Nintendo's brought back and introduced Supers throughout the year. It is nice when we see, and we saw this tour, there were a lot of Supers involved. When you think about, I think Peach is on it, on one of the tracks for Rank this week, and I think that's really exciting for a lot of people. There's been Super Karts, Super Gliders, and it really helps, I think, newer players be able to jump in with items that they've invested in. I compared to the Ice Mario fiasco of 2020, this is quite the relief. So, what's your thoughts on Birdo Red?
I think this one is it's fine. I like the 2 tracks that it has to store. Those 2 peak circuits. Those are tracks that don't have any post kills, so maybe it is a good option for the free-to-plays to get some coverage on those 2 tracks, especially the level 6 unlocked one. I saw the top shelf and it's very limited. It only has like 3 drivers, and then the other 3 are just Misu. So there's a good chance, as in my case, that you don't have a top shelf driver for it. So if you manage to obtain this Birdo in week 1, I think this is a good budget option to take it to level 6 until you get a high-end option down the road.
I'm with you there. I think in general, Supers are kind of seen as like a stopgap, something just to kind of briefly cover you until you find something better. And some stuff is better than others to focus in on. This is not a bad one when you think about the Birdo egg. It's actually kind of a skill that's overlooked, but quite a fun one to use whenever you get the chance to use it. You might be using it for Peach Circuit here. Let's get into karts because we got some big karts to talk about. Obviously, the Cupids Arrow was a really good kart last year. Never really was like a top kart. I mean, Yellow Off-Roader just stole so much of thunder from all the karts, really. But Cupids Arrow was really sneaky throughout the year. Has a great wide hitbox. I know Sammy D even talks about its hitbox being actually a little bigger than the actual physical hitbox of the item. Which, by the way, huge shout out to Sam7IIT. He and I were having a conversation. And they actually now have specific specs on all the karts, down to the number based on a percentage of compared to the top kart. So obviously, if Yellow Off-Roader is the number 1 sized hitbox, it is 100%, and different items are different percentages of that 100. And so Cupid's Arrow, and what's interesting about it is it's all based on like longitude, latitude, because the camera is irrelevant, but the size is actually based on the dimensions of the game and on the course, which I found really interesting. But he said it's pretty common for most of these games. Fun stuff. Anyway, this is a larger hitbox, and so it's not a bad one to invest in. One of the thoughts I've had before we get into its actual coverage, and this is more of a philosophy prior to the pipes going away, is that there always, of these families, there was always seemed to be like one shining child, shining boy, shining girl in the family that always kind of outdid its siblings, and we never knew who that was. There was a variety of them. Like out of the kings, the Silver Kings seemed to be the best. There's always kind of like one that kind of stood out. And there always were exceptions to that rule. There were some that were like the 8-bit gliders. It just seemed like all of them were great, and so they do make those exceptions. But then you had the Black Great Sail was the best of the Great Sails. And so it makes me wonder, with Cupid's Arrow, as good as it was, and it did come from a new item out of a special pipe, which, as many of you know and have heard me say, that always makes things a little bit better. They always seem to get like a little bit quicker on their buffing cycle, or they just got a little bit better buffs than the other items. Now it seems that the commemorative items get those better buffs, or kind of get a little bit better treated. But it will be interesting to see what comes of the gold Cupid Arrow and the silver Cupid Arrow. I do think that as we're burnt out on gold items, it is funny to have a silver item, and now silver is the new gold of that we're kind of starting to get burnt out on. I will say, for what it's worth, the gold you do have to purchase with rubies. The silver you don't. Pardon me. The silver obviously you can get as I believe as a commemorative item. So that one kind of tends to be something I'm more interested in, long-term value. But let's talk about the gold Cupid Arrow. 3 tracks released this tour, of a total of 10. Obviously, you got some older tracks such as Choco Island. Yeah, and those are going to be common of anything this tour, but you also got some Royal Raceway for obvious reasons. But you got some really good Peach Gardens, some good Peach Circuits. Obviously, I think in general, you're always wanting the good buffs this tour are those Peach Gardens and Peach Circuits, in my opinion. We see Peach Circuits obviously being the very, very best. But you even have some tough ones. I remember Royal Raceway RT was a tough one to cover for many people over the years, and so, or at least over the last year. But Nap, what's your thoughts on the Gold Cupid Arrow?
So the thing with this card is that, as you'll see later, we have two of these released this tour. This is the gold one. I thought it was going to be released for the gold pass, but then we saw that they have a banner image, so it was going to be sold in the shop, the Spotlight shop, or as a commemorative item, and it turned out to be a Spotlight shop item. And I think this is the first time that we ever seen a gold card being debuted in the Spotlight shop as with a discount. So we don't know how the value of this card is going to end up in a couple of months, but its starting tracks I think are on the weaker side. Definitely has it has a mixture of old and new, but the new tracks that it has don't help its case. I think the only good track that I can see that this thing has is Peach Garden C, and that's because it doesn't have that many great hitbox size options on it. But Peach Gardens you have to compete with like the looks of the Moo Moo Off-Roader and the Blue Crawley card, and even the new tracks that I got this for. I mean, Peach Circuit, you already have options like the regular Cupids Arrow. You have stuff like the Happy Ride. There's even super options there. Peach Circuit R is a non-ranked course, and even then, you also have options like the Armor Rider on it, the Shielded Speedster, of course. And the one good track that it has is all the way to level 8, which is the Daisy Circuit track. It would have been massive if this card had this track as even as level 6 unlock, because you will have an incentive to take it all the way there, since it's a really hard track to cover overall in both drivers, karts, and gliders. But the fact that it's a level 8 unlock is just, it hurts its value so much. And the worst thing is that, as we'll see soon enough, its brother has that track as the starting track. So it's definitely, it's starting off with the wrong foot already.
Yeah, man, that Daisy Circuit RT, it's a tough track for a lot of people to have, as they're trying to cover, specifically for ranked. It's a tough one, and let's use that segue to talk about that silver Cupid's Arrow, as we referred to earlier. Commemorative item, certainly. I think there's not all the time where I'm thinking about like the Bowser tour. We had like this little shell cart, and I just got it once. But this is one where it might make sense to get the commemorative item 3 times, for the $12, whatever it might be based on your currency. But yeah, you're right. This obviously comes with this Daisy Circuit RT right off the bat, and that for a level 3, just to start with a big hitbox, is enough for me to get excited. I do love the tint. I think whether it's in like a very bright lit area or in a very kind of golden hue, like some of these Daisy Circuit RTs, this tropical weather, probably similar to your native Dominican Republic, but it kind of has like a very cool hue to it. Almost kind of looks like the high-end pink, purple, blue color based off of how the light's shimmering off of it. So I actually kind of like the silver Cupid, the look of the silver Cupid Arrow. It kind of looks a little bit more natural than the gold. I think the gold's a little bit much, a little over the top. But to its starting tracks, obviously, it gets 10 as well. 3 of those tracks released this tour. It's a little bit of a different variant, though, with a little Snowland mixed in there and Coconut Mall. Obviously, it's even a Sky Garden in there compared to what the gold Cupid's Arrow got. But what's your thoughts, Snap, on the silver Cupid's Arrow?
This one, I will say, this one has a much better start. The big selling point of this card is that it has a triple ranked appearance, and the sweet thing about it is that you don't need to take it to level 8 to have the triple rank appearance, because it has 2 tracks at level 1. Those are the new ones, of course. That Peach Circuit, the Peach Circuit T on week 1, and the Daisy Circuit on week 2. And the other one is Snowland T, of course, which is also on week 2. Normally, when you see a brand new item debut on a tour, for you to utilize its most ranked appearances, you have to mostly take it to level 8. This is not the case with this card. If you take it to level 6, you will have a triple ranked appearance already. And even the 3 tracks that it has this tour are really good. Well, not the normal racing circuit. But no, I was actually the T variant. The T variant has 2 off-roaders, so maybe you don't get that much out of it, but it's a level 8 unlock. You can utilize all 3 of these other tracks to this highest degree just by that level 6 alone. The one hot take I can say about this card is that I can see this card being the successor to the Blazing Eagle.
Ooh, wow, that's a hot take.
I see some similarities with this. I see some similarities with this card. It's obviously a big box size. Yeah, it even has the same skill, although this skill doesn't really matter. But this one also has really good starting tracks, and even then, it has a brother debuted in the Spotlight Shop. I think this card is definitely going to be the better of the 2. Is it going to be as good as the Blazing Eagle? Probably not. The Blazing Eagle has reached such a dominance streak that we haven't seen ever since the Yellow Off-Roader itself. But I think there is a bright future for this card, and this could be a really good card for the autumn and the winter season. So we just have to keep an eye close to how its value grows in the next couple of months. And by the time that it debuts in the Spotlight Shop, by the time it's August, maybe it's available on Tank, as we've seen with other fast cards.
Man, you bring in the hot takes, man. I love using this opportunity to come in hot. I love it, man. Yeah, no, when you look at its starting 5 tracks, no track has larger hitboxes with a number larger than 3. So really good there. And then when you look at some of those cards, there's not like one card that it's overlapping the most with. You know, you see Moo Off-Roader twice, and that's about it. You know, you got like there's nothing else that's really covering like 3 times, or that you have to be really scared about, impacting the meta. Certainly one, if you have to invest in early, not a bad one for you. I'm with you there. I love the prediction of the future Blazing Eagle. We'll see what happens in future months. Let's get to a small super card. We literally go from the hype of the next Blazing Eagle to a tiny little super card. But what's your thoughts on the red Turbo Verto Kart?
So just alongside with the Rare Battle, this was a week 1 reward, and I think its starting tracks are good for a super. It doesn't have that many old tracks. I mean, the oldest track that it has is the RMS Choco Island, and that's about it. Even Royal Raceway RT is a track that doesn't have that many great options on it. It only has the Swift Talon, and that's pretty much it. So I think this is a good cover. All of these tracks are good for for a coverage in the meantime until you get a better option.
I'm with you there again. A stopgap in the coverage. Here's the glittering glider overlap. Obviously, it's a coin glider, which just for those newer players, has been a little bit more controversial. Back in the day, we used to love coin gliders. It used to get us really excited, but at those times, coin frenzies were the thing. We used to love those, and obviously in addition to coin box and other skills. But now with some of the access to data, we've realized that getting a coin frenzy or getting coins, single coins, could prevent you from getting single boxes or other favorable items in those slots when you're in places 1 through 4, etc. So I know some people are a little bit more skittish about them. I personally love them still. I mean, there's many times where I'm trying to go for a boomerang coin, a giant banana coin. I'm just trying to get something in a coin. So for me, I'm all about coin gliders. In fact, I took this one up to, I think, level 6 just for last week's ranked. It's one that I'm pretty excited about, but again, I don't normally take, unless it's like a top skill driver, I don't normally take things or the pink comet. For those in my server who saw that I went all in on it last tour. It gave me 8 tracks, and so I went bonkers, went a little wild. The tickets were burning a hole in my pocket, but I rarely do that. This is one where I feel like some of these items are pretty safe, like level 4, level 5, level 6 investments to start, and then just kind of wait it out. At least for, you know, a whale that might be a 6, for a non-whale it might be a level 3 or 4. This is one that I got pretty excited about, and you know, I'm pretty bullish on it. But I'd love to hear your opinion, App. What's your thoughts on the glittering glider? Not to be confused with the glittering glider. Glitter glider.
They have similar names. I thought they were gonna go with like gold glittering glider, but it was like glittering glider itself. If you thought the silver Cupids arrow had a strong start, this has the strongest start over all the items this tour. 11 tracks, 4 of this tour, and 3 of them are level 1 rank abilities, which is very good. I've seen a lot of people buy this commemorated item and invest in it already, so they can get the most out of use right now. And I think it's all of his tracks, mostly all of his tracks are very good. It has mostly new tracks. I believe about 7 of them are mostly new tracks. So, and the fact that it also has 11. Now, it is a gold glider, a commemorative gold glider. So I don't know how the value is going to grow. We've seen gold gliders, which debuted in the gold pass, not be that strong. But since this is going to be a commemorative item, maybe this will be the best out of the gold items. The thing with gliders is that it's hard to find a glider these days that has a very strong value, because you'll have to live with the overlap, since a new glider is always going to have a lot of overlaps with already great gliders. So you just have to be careful and watch as it continues to grow for the next couple of months. I think this one is going to be a solid one. Not as good as maybe like the silver Cupids arrow. Like if you were to choose between one of the 2 commemorative items, I think I will aim to get the Kart over the glider, since there's already a lot of really good gliders that get the new table tracks, so you can get more mileage about a big hitbox size car than a coin glider, in my opinion.
No, I'm with you there. You know, we always kind of talk about gliders being the resource or the investment that you have to worry the least about, mainly because driver skills are so important. The Mies and the meta is so important as well. And then of course you have carts, so there's so many carts. You have different hitboxes. You have a variety of different ways that you can attack it, and if you attack the wrong way, you're gonna have a glaring gap, because there's just so many carts and not enough tickets to take them all up. Whereas with gliders, you know, it's a much smaller number of gliders, and the coverage is much harder to fill in general. So yeah, I mean, I think if you whiff and you miss, it's much easier to miss on a cart. So I personally agree with you there on the silver Cupids arrow. Strong call out there. Good. Let's move into the last glider, which is the Gold Pass Award, the Gold Bells glider. Obviously, we've seen over the last year, these Gold Pass rewards have not been great. So I know I just was talking up coin gliders, but if I had to go for one of the 2, I definitely would go for the one I just previously talked about, and not this Gold Bells glider. But 2 tracks just released this tour. Of the 10, certainly a number of reoccurring tracks, things like Choco Island, Coconut Mall RT, Royal Raceway RT, etc. So, Nap, what's your thoughts on the Gold Bells glider?
So this is your typical Gold Pass item. It doesn't have anything special at first glance. It only has 2 tracks from release this tour, and one of them is a level 8, so you only have pretty much 1. That's the beach circuit for week 2, and even then, you can use the glittering glider has that track already. I'm pretty sure it has, and there's also even a super option in there, so you don't necessarily need this glider. So this is pretty much one of those, like, you get it for collection and then let it sit in your inventory there. It's not going to provide any use for any account, I think, even the newer ones.
Yeah, I'm with you there, man. Short and sweet, I love it. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on that. I mean, obviously, you know, it's a Gold Pass reward. We don't get too excited about them. I will say one thing we'll also kind of glaze over real quick will just be the Spotlight Shop. I talked about it in length during the tour reaction. And obviously now that we're 8 days into the tour of the 14, you've probably already seen the Spotlight Shop and you've already had your choice of these items. You can feel free to take a look at this slide on Reddit, but for sake of time, we'll just probably glaze over this. Certainly, I think, is one of the biggest reactions that we discussed on the tour reaction. Personally, it was the big fan of how many awesome gliders there were. There was just so many good options here. I mean, a lot of these are in the meta. A lot of these are really, really strong right now between the different Diamond, Garnet, the wonderful versions there, the 8-bit items here, Fire Manta, etc. I mean, really, except for maybe the Panini and something, like you could probably go with any of these and go and do really well. So one of the few tours where I would say that the Spotlight gliders are a really strong way to go. And then even for the drivers, typically the drivers are pretty anticlimactic. Not a bad option here with a couple different plus skills. But overall, I mean, I think that we're all starting to kind of figure out how the daily Spotlight Shop fits into our meta. I mean, ultimately, you kind of want to snag one of the new items when it's at a discount. Those 30 rubies or whatever it might be really helps out a lot over the long run. So I always like to pick up something in stash. We did have people come in on the server today, just how they're skipping out on some of these plus skill non-me drivers. They're like, man, I was dropping 105 rubies on Poochie, 105 rubies on Toad Tourist, 105 rubies on Light Blue Shy Guy, and haven't done anything with it. So 105 rubies is nothing to scoff at. So, I think in general, a lot of people are even foregoing the plus skill non-me's, which again, I wouldn't necessarily advise to everyone, but that's the point where we're at in this game. In general, for me, it's getting some of the newer items, waiting on it a little bit. Especially, I think I'm willing to pull the trigger a little bit quicker with the commemorative items. But that's kind of been my daily Spotlight Shop strategy. Nap, what's been the way that you've been approaching daily Spotlight in general?
Well, at this point, I have pretty much everything that I need right now, since most of these items are recurrent items from every tour. Like these items are like they've been consistently appearing in rank, so you mostly know what's good right now or what's no longer good. What I would say is that if you missed something the first time, if you was like skeptical of its initial value and you have the opportunity to get it now, you can still decide on whether you want to buy it now or you can still wait, because it's going to be there for the next couple of tours. For example, something like the Wonderful Diamond that is really good right now and it's getting a lot of the table favorite system. There's always the good decision of whether you want to buy now or you can still wait, because it's going to keep appearing in rank. So it's all about control. Like, you don't necessarily need to buy something right now. You can always wait a bit, because patience is always key, especially with these items. Like, of course, you'll be missing on the discount, but the discount, I see it as a risk that you can take. You can buy for 70 rubies, 105 rubies, and invest into it, and maybe be like an early winner of it. But it's always nice to wait, purchase it later, and then you get more mileage down the road. So it's always your choice whether you want to buy it now or you can wait for it to appear in the Spotlight Shop. It's your choice, but you just do what's always better for your account.
Yeah, solid advice. I think Antilev agrees with you, and just like, hey, it's worth 30 rubies for me to just wait and see if it's successful and then pull the trigger and get it. For me, I'll pay the extra 30 rubies to wait and see if it's valuable or not. And really, I mean, things have been coming back pretty quickly. It's been like 3 or 4 tours before something comes back again. So you might miss out on maybe 1 or 2 ranked if you have the option. For me, I always like, having the newer item, and if I could pull the trigger on something. I did, just for full disclosure, I did get the gold Cupids arrow. So I have the silver at 3 and gold at 1. And if one emerges, I'm all about it, man. I have no problem going in on it. But I do think a lot of the players who may not be as whalish might just want to wait and be willing to pay the premium 30 rubies of the normal price, I guess, to be able to just wait and see its value before you make a purchase. Completely understand there. Makes sense either way, but ultimately you have to kind of decide based on your your playing level, which one you do, which strategy you select. And it's always good if once you select that strategy, kind of stick with it. I think that's going to probably help you, and it helps you kind of gauge things as you go on too. As Kart Life always says, patience is the #1 skill here in Mario Kart Tour. So I agree with you there. Let's get into the buffs. So obviously, Pucci got the most buffs when you're looking at quantity. Fortunately, the quality is not quite as great. You did get the Peach Circuit R, but it's not in ranked. It did get the Peach Circuit T, which is the ranked track. So that is the only ranked track that Pucci got of his 5. He got a couple dud tracks, Choco Island 2R and Donut Plains 3R. But Coconut Mall RT is a decent track. It's relatively new. It's a 2023 track, so that obviously brand new. But ultimately, I mean, I think when it comes to, you know, a Choco Island or a Donut Plains, I mean, these are tracks where a lot of us were getting by with, you know, who knows, like an Ice Mario or something else. So, you know, hey, if you want to use a plus skill and you really like Pucci, go for it. But he did get 5 buffs. Winner of the Quantity Award. Maybe not so much of the quality, but I'd love to hear your opinion at the end. Toad Tourist did get the Daisy Circuit RT. That's the most notable one for him. He did get the Sky Garden RT and the Peach Circuit R, which you like. So 3 out of the 4 tracks are 2023 tracks. You gotta love that. And even the Coconut Mall R, not a bad one. So, I mean, when you're thinking about some of these tracks and using Giant Banana, I mean, really all three of his new tracks are pretty good. Even Coconut Mall has some really tight areas. It also does have some divergent parts of the track too. So I'd probably say that's an average track for him, the Coconut Mall R, but there's some really good ones. I mean, Peach Circuit R, there's some really deadly areas. The one downside to Peach, all the Peach circuits, they're very short. So for those newer players, shorter tracks are really good for boomerang drivers, just in general, because you can get your boombox, maybe a coin, maybe some other frenzy, and then you're done. Whereas Giant Banana is actually really, really good for those tracks where it's very, very easy to get 200 actions, because the action points per action for a Giant Banana and Banana hit is more than that of a coin. So really, you like using Giant Bananas on very narrow, long tracks with a lot of jumps and everything going on. I wouldn't necessarily say Peach Circuit has that. Not a lot of jumps. It's very short in general, but it is kind of tight at times. So that part you have waiting for it. Probably a B, maybe a B+ track for Toad Tourist. Whereas Sky Garden RT, there's some really, really tight areas. Yeah, there's a couple sections where you can kind of go your own way, but for the most part, there's some really tight areas that have to just kind of keep getting bombarded by these bananas. And then Daisy Circuit RT has a couple of those similar options as well. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, though, you have to just remind yourself that he's not a plus skill me. And for me, that unfortunately doesn't. I'm not a big fan of Toad Tourist. I do think he's fun. I do wish him the best, but he's going to have probably a shelf life of 2 to 3 months, in my opinion. It's going to be enjoy it while it lasts if you invested in him. I just would recommend a lot of players really looking at the Miis. So, which actually is a great segue to talk about Blue Mii Racing Suit and Lemmy Mii Racing Suit. Neither one a plus skill, but both a Mii. And for us, when it comes to the Mii Boost and the Mii Cup Boost, not a bad one to go into. I will say that the Blue Mii Racing Suit did get the Peach Circuit T. Lemmy did get the Peach Gardens R. With drivers with 3 buffs, we got to start out with Larry Mii. He's crushing it here. This Snowland T, a huge track, massive track for him. There's coin box drivers all over the place on the track. Much different than the Peach Gardens that we were using for PD Piranha Mii last week. At least I was spending so much time on that track. I do not want to see that track come back ever again. I actually liked the Peach Garden tracks prior to this tour, but I got burnt out on that Peach Gardens with the PD Mii. There were no coin boxers on that second row, and so I know that some people said they really like coin boxers that are on the bottom row because they can see right away if it has a coin box or not. But for me, it was absolutely excruciating. I probably spent 7 or 8 hours on that track alone, and never really got the run that I really wanted. I got a boombox banana twice. Anyway, long story short, this track is much more fun. This Snowland T, and really the Santa Mii Racing Suit with Lucky 7 is the only other top skill Mii suit on the track. And really, this is a perfect example of what we were talking about earlier with Boomerang. Get your boombox, maybe a coin, and then you're calling it a day. You're getting 200 actions really easy. So fun track there, and that is, I believe, our track, our action count track of the tour for those in our server. So go, good luck on that, guys. Obviously, it was announced prior to this video, you watching this video. But for those watching at home, you want to get in the competition, check that out on our server. You just have to be a member. Then we have PD Piranha Me Racing Suit. Obviously, we talked about this. Peach Gardens are the one that we all got burnt out on if you were trying to boombox that. And then the Morton Me suit. Now, the Morton Me did just get the Peach Circuit T. But this is, I think overall, he gets some pretty good tracks here. I mean, a battle course is always a track you want to get. And this was probably the one where it had the least number of options for top skills. I mean, Cookie Land had King Mario, and it had a couple other options between some of the other top skills. But this one was rough. I mean, I think some people were using Classic Luigi if they weren't going this Mushroom Cannon skill. But I think Giant Banana, obviously a big win there. I personally, Giant Banana is like really great for these long tracks, but battle tracks, I personally haven't experienced a lot of success with them yet. I just feel like, I'm knocking people out as I get points, and then it ends too quickly. So it's real tough. I mean, you have to try it out, see if you like it, and then invest in them if that's what you're investing them in on. But I'd say this is a big win for him this tour. These are some really strong investments, and so really, I guess his second tour release, he's number 56 on our list. So that's really, really good. He and Larry, it'll be interesting to see which one of these guys emerges as as potentially even, who knows, maybe the number one driver in the game one day. We'll see what happens. I mean, both of them are fun. Both of them are new. I have them both at level 8. I did quad cap Larry and triple cap Morton, but those are real problems. I love them both. I'm excited. It's gonna be summer of the Koopaling Me's. I'm excited, man. And then to round out the drivers with 3 buffs, you did get the Iggy Me suit, Ludwig, Roy, Light Blue Yoshi, and Orange Shy Guy, with that Light Blue Yoshi getting the that Snowland T. Before I move forward, Nap, what's your thoughts on the drivers with 5, 4, and 3 buffs?
Okay, so starting off with the drivers with 5, of course. The thing with Pucci is that we saw last tour, I think it also got 5 buffs in the tour. So, and he also got its cup, it also had its own cup now. So we might see that maybe Nintendo is trying to push hard with Pucci having a lot of tracks to compensate the uphill battle that it has. It's a Lucky 7, which is inferior to Boomerang and Coinbox. And it's also a non-me. Right now, the Miis are ruling the game right now. But I think that even though Pucci is a driver that is very outclassed right now in most of his tracks, I think they're going to compensate it by making it a driver with a lot of tracks, and most of those tracks are going to be quality tracks. So it might be some good options for some people out there, people that maybe are starting the game right now, or people that don't do Miis as much. I think the biggest winner for the buffs, I think I'm going with the Morton suit. The reason why I'm going with the Morton suit over the Larry suit is because the 3 buffs that the Morton suit received are all plus kill of Miis. Like, in none of those tracks previously, there wasn't a top skill me option in there, especially the Peach Circuit.
Yep.
That was ranked in week 1. I think it was a great buff for it. This Snowland, even though it's not like the longest track and it's not very narrow, it's also a very solid option since there isn't also that many plus 2 options in there. Your biggest competition was pretty much like Light Blue, Shy Guy Explorer, and a level late Larry Wintertime. So I think that's a big win. For the battle course, this is the first time that we see a Giant Banana Me Racing suit getting buffed into a battle course track. So we don't know how well the Giant Banana fares on a battle course track. I guess time will tell. But I think for right now, it's a big win for it as well. since the best options that you could go there were like Toad Astronaut, Luigi Knight, or even some of the Super Mario or Yoshi.
I'm with you there. Let's move to drivers with 2 buffs. Obviously, Daisy Sailor got the Daisy Circuit. You know, to be honest, I was really surprised we never got Daisy Cruiser coming back this tour. Really surprising in this Princess Tour. I was banking on it coming back, and actually was kind of excited. I know it's not a track a lot of people like, but I was kind of looking forward to it. It's kind of a bummer that we didn't get it. But Mario King, guys, this is it's unfortunate. He's not in ranked this tour. He consistently gets like 1 or 2 strong buffs, but it's never a ranked buff. So he got this Peach Circuit R, and then of course, most importantly, the Daisy Circuit T. You do get Luigi Knight. Same situation. 2 new tracks, but neither one in ranked. Kitsune Luigi, same situation. Both Daisy Circuits R and T. Mario Samurai got the Peach Circuit R and Daisy Circuit R. Both of those R's there. That's probably about all it for the drivers with 2 buffs. Drivers with 1 buff, obviously Mr. Efficient, the gold Mii suit, absolutely crushing it. This is a permanent track he gets, and one that's really strong, Daisy Circuit. We've always talked about this really from maybe day 2, I'd say. But the gold Mii suit will have a buffing cycle unlike any other driver in this game. For those who are close on tier 80, good luck. He is one to invest in, and I was told to keep this quiet, but Antilev finally invested in it too. So that means green light for all. But ultimately, I mean, enough to say about the gold Mii suit. If you haven't invested in him now, I'm not sure what you're waiting for. The guy is just, and honestly, he's probably going to be in ranked like 3 times in the next 4 weeks. So definitely invest in him if you haven't already. Obviously, it was a week 1 track for rank, so you've probably already invested in him, but it is what it is there. We got Gold Charging Chuck getting the Daisy Circuit T, which is a decent track. We'll see if it comes up in the future. He's been really strong. You know, I think when it came to him and Gold PD that came out around that same point in time, Gold Charging Chuck has blown Gold PD out of the water, in my opinion. But he's just been... Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. He's I went Gold PD, and I regret it, man. Gold Charging Chuck would be one of the few drivers that are non-Miis. I haven't maybe invested in maybe 1 or 2 since November, and I might have to go back and throw some tickets on Gold Charging Chuck. He's still pretty strong, but again, you know, his shelf life will come here soon. Daisy Tidress, we kind of talked about, she's kind of reaching her shelf life right now. She's still the number 4 driver in the game, but mainly because of her track exclusivity. But as those tracks come back this year, we'll start to see some of those start to fall away, and potentially by Mii suits. We'll see what happens there. White Tanuki Mario does get this Daisy Circuit, which is a pretty strong track for him. He's been not bad. You know, I think honestly, for a driver that's been out as long as he has, he's actually been doing pretty well this year, but he's just overshadowed by some of these Mii suits, unfortunately. PD Piranha Gold gets this huge Womp Womp track of Choco Island 1, which is unfortunate. Toad Astronaut, he's been just very efficient too. Obviously, he's not a Mii, so that obviously hurts him. But getting a ranked track like Peach Circuit T is really strong for him. 27 assumed tracks, 11 cities right now for our Toad Astronaut. Yellow Mii Racing Suit, this is one, he's been out since November, but he's still, I mean, I contemplated investing in him or Morton. I went with Morton just because he was newer, but really, I mean, if Morton hadn't come out last tour, it would have been all on this Yellow Mii. He's been pretty good right now. He's 18 assumed tracks, 14 cities. Still has a lot of cities, in my opinion, compared to some of these other Miis, but I mean, at this point in time, they're certainly unavoidable, but 14 is a lot out of the tracks that with 18 assumed tracks there. Light Blue Shy Guy Explorer, 23 assumed tracks, 10 cities there. Dry Bones Mii Racing Suit there. And then probably this last slide, probably won't talk about too many. I will say this Bronze Mii Racing Suit did get the Daisy Circuit, which is in ranked. You did get the Green Mii getting the Peach Circuit. Dr. Peach getting Peach Circuit as well. Spike Mii getting the Daisy Circuit RT. Peach Yukata getting the Circuit T as well. Or actually, she just got the Peach Circuit. Silver Mii Racing Suit got this Daisy Circuit. That's a big win for him. Again, been quietly, been out for a while. Number 43 on our list. Cat Mii getting this Daisy Circuit. Daisy Circuit, you were pretty well covered on. Certainly, the Gold was a lot of people's option, but some of these other ones got it too, for what it's worth. But that's probably where I'll wrap things up. But Nap, what's your thoughts on the remaining drivers?
So we saw that Team Mario received 2 buffs, and those 2 buffs are actually the new tracks. But unfortunately, as it is with his case, there was also big hitbox size drivers, big hitbox size point drivers that got buffed into the track. So it's basically not those buffs were actually notified, since there's already better options than it. The thing with Daisy Tidress is that even though she is in her twilight of her buffing cycle, she got a new track that is also an exclusive. Daisy Circuit, she is the only Coinmos option there, so that's it's pretty good. It's not a rank appearance, but she also received a rank appearance in week 1, so I will say that she ended up being a big winner this store. It's not looking so good for the Lightwood Florida Shy Guy, unfortunately. As much as I love this driver, he was a very big loser this store. With so many good tracks that he could have gotten, he got an RMX Choco Island, which is, you don't need it. There's already bird options in there. It's an old track, so I would say it's not the biggest. It's not the best track to get. Another funny thing, Luigi Knight and Mario Samurai, they got 2 buffs, and those 2 buffs were the exact same ones. I guess that's something that doesn't happen every day. I think for the drivers with 1 buff, it's nice to see that the Silver Meat Racing Suit is getting so off once again. Unfortunately, the same buff was received by the Gold Meat Racing Suit, and it's crazy that it's still getting the paywall buffs to this day. They're really increasing the value of it, of that driver. It doesn't even get treated as a Misu. It's treated as a normal driver, and a very good one. They're showing off why you must get tier 80 to get this driver, because it's very, very good. Like, you won't go wrong by investing into this Misu. Like, it's so good on pretty much everything. It's good for rank, it's good for coverage, even it's good for ACR. It's so good right now, and it doesn't seem to stop. Like, it continues to get tracks, and they're very good ones as well. It's the thing is, it's also the best option because it has all of those bonus points from the other Misus.
Yep.
It doesn't even matter if it's not a big size driver. It's a very powerful item right now, and it keeps on growing even after a year later after its release.
Yeah, man, you gotta love that. That's absolutely a really, really good point there, Nap. Appreciate you going into that. Let's use that as a transition to talk about carts. We got 2 carts that got 5 buffs. Snowland T got this the Huff and Puffin egg for those who invested in a small tiny cart, which I would not recommend to get the Snowland T, which is not a new track, but it's a ranked track. You got that part you got to enjoy. To give the Peach Circuit RT, which is a new track, but not in ranked. Silver Flower Cart. You got the Peach Circuit, which is a new track and in ranked. That's its best track by far. Some other not bad tracks. When you think about Peach Gardens and Snowland, these are decent buffs, as they're not too old compared to Royal Raceway. That's an older track. So yeah, I'd say both of these not bad buffs, but you would have kind of hoped a little bit more if you invested in the Silver Flower Cart. But I don't think I wouldn't necessarily recommend the Huff and Puffin egg to invest in unless you're a big fan of Puffin 11 TY7, a good old Puffy who obviously shares a similar name. Let's go to the carts with 4 buffs. We got the Bright Girl with 4. She got the Peach Circuit T. Got the Gold Hop Rod, Jumbo Jetter. Really, each one's kind of getting like 1 rank track, and that's about it. Nothing else is really too crazy on this. I know some people went into maybe some of the comets. So the Red Comet got the Daisy Circuit. Pink Comet got the Peach Circuit. Like myself, I invested into that as well. The Mach 8R Fortunately, did not win, did not get a ranked track, and got some older tracks as well. The Green Comet got the Peach Circuit, the ranked track there, and some others as well. Nap, anything you want to say about these karts with 5 and 4 buffs?
Well, I will see a lot of losers here. Like you mentioned, Mac are not getting any rank buff, not getting any of the new tracks. The same with the Brahms Cucumber. I will say the Jumbo Jetter is slowly picking up on the rankings of the cards. It's getting a lot of decent tracks. You saw last story got a ranked track, one of the table ones, and this story also got one as well. I could see this card making a big jump. How many tracks are coming up next door? So keep a watch on that.
Good, man. I love it. Good. Let's get into karts with 3 buffs. Tycho Drum Dasher, which we'll get into a little bit more later. It's got quite a resurgence in the top 10 algorithm. It's actually at number 10. 23 assumed tracks, 7 cities. Shout out to Sammy D, the drummer Sammy D, who absolutely loves this card. Did get the Daisy Circuit RT. Not so happy about the Choco Island and the Donut Plains 3R, but that Daisy Circuit RT can be a tough one to cover for sure. Black Carriage, Sakura Sports Coupe, Dry Bones Dasher, and then the light blue Turbo Yoshi. Unfortunately, Dry Bones Dasher got no ranked track. This Sakura Sports Coupe did get a nice little Peach Garden Czar, but not a large hitbox, unfortunately. We did get some carts with 2 buffs. Start off the list, we got Pink Speeder. It got the Peach Circuit T as a phenomenal track, and as a consolation, got the Peach Circuit R. Rainbow Taxi, nothing in rank there. Blue Speeder did get the Daisy Circuit RT, which actually I take that back. That's not necessarily the hardest track to cover. I just know for myself, maybe it was really tough. Sky Blue Dasher Mark II got the Daisy Circuit. Cream B Dasher Mark II got that same track. And then moving, I think that's actually it for carts with 2 buffs. I think for carts with 1 buff, there's a couple notable ones, like the Blazing Eagle, kind of similar to the Gold Misu, just very efficient, just getting like 1 buff, 2 buffs. This tour, however, not a great buff, just got the Choco Island 1. Certainly it's in ranked, but not because of its buff. For something that already got its buff on. So if you invested in it because of that buff, you won out. But this tour, not a great buff. Again, it's been riding a hot streak here for a while. We'll see what happens next tour. Rainbow Cerrito got the Daisy Circuit T. Red Off-Roader did not get a ranked track, but a nice Daisy Circuit T, which could come in handy later on this year. Cambo Tuniki Kart got the Peach Circuit RT. Moo Off-Roader got a great non-ranked track, comparatively when we're talking about comparing to Choco Island, but Daisy Circuit T, similar to the Red Off-Roader. Man, it's unfortunate, this Red Off-Roader and Moo Off-Roader and Yellow Off-Roader and regular Off-Roader, like it just seems like they're kind of overlapping with each other, which is unfortunate. They both got the same buff, the Moo and the Red this tour. Blooper Shuttle, not a ranked track, but got the Peach Circuit R. Blue Crawley got the Peach Circuit RT, so not necessarily going great for the Blue Crawley. I know a lot of people invested in it early, and as a commemorative item, we had high hopes for it. Hasn't panned out quite as well as we had hoped, but still a top 10 cart, mainly because of its hitbox. I think a lot of people, every time we see one of these giant hitboxes, and Crawley's got one of the largest in the game, we just get really excited. So it looks beautiful, and hopefully things turn around for it next tour. We did get the Shielded Speedster, got the Peach Garden R. Armor Rider got that same track as well. And that's kind of where we're starting to kind of get cut off there. We got the Gold Bolt Blaster, Purple Dozer. Nothing's really in rank until we get the Pink Sneaker, and then Rainbow Pipe Buggy, and then it quickly drops off there. I will say this Cactus B got the Peach Circuit T. It's been finally it gets that track that it wanted, and then the original Cupid's Arrow got the Peach Circuit ranked track, which you really like. So, Nap, what's your thoughts on the remaining carts that got buffed?
So, unlike the drivers, we didn't see like a card that had like an amazing buff. Didn't see like that many great buffs. Like you see a mixture of one good track, and then the other ones are like not so great. I will note that the Pink Speeder might be one of the bigger winners this tour, receiving 2 of the new tracks, including a rank appearance. It's pretty much all you can ask for a car that is no longer new. It's not the biggest car in the world by any means, but it's a good car for rank, coverage, ACR, all that stuff. So I think that's good if you have to sacrifice not having a good hitbox. The Rainbow Taxi, even though it's not a car that doesn't show up in ranked that very often, I think this is one of those cars that is good for coverage and not for ranked, since the ratio of city to retro tracks is very good. I mean, it has 39 tracks and 30 of those are retros. That's very good for a car that was released only 4 months ago. So I think this car might be one of those like great coverage warriors, but not for rank or all of that stuff. It's cool to see some of those BMK Dasher 2 cards getting 2 buffs, and 2 very good ones as well. It's hard to see a really old car get 2 buffs on the new track these days, so that's a pretty nice gesture for those cards, and the people like Sammy D, for example, who is big on these cards, getting some use out of them.
Good, man. I appreciate that. Let's get into gliders. I'm sorry. Yep, there we go. Gliders, there is one that got 5 buffs, and that is this Smiley Flower glider. It's a fun glider. It would have been nice to get a little bit more tracks, but so overall, not a bad selection. The ranked track of Peach Gardens that came out last year. That's a ranked buff. And that's the only ranked buff that it got, but did get some Peach Circuit, the RT version, and the Daisy Circuit, the T version, and the Sky Garden RT. So overall, pretty positive. You know, maybe more of an A- there for the Smiley Flower glider, which was exciting. Moving to the gliders with 4 buffs, the 8-bit Super Glider jumped into our top 10. Massive jump there. It's got the Beach Circuit T as its ranked track. The other tracks are all from last year, but those are not bad buffs. Gold Boom Masks. Nothing really to mention here as nothing's in ranked. Yoshi's Cookie did get the Peach Gardens R, and a bunch of other gliders you may or may not want to invest in. A lot of these are some of the newer items that, again, you know, when I'm looking at these, I'm looking for what items got like a double feature in ranked or kind of hitting the meta, and none of those are really doing it. Let's move into the gliders with 3 buffs. There are 4. Most notable, we got the 8-bit Block Glider, number 16 on our list, get the Daisy Circuit RT. The Gold 8-bit Glider got the Daisy Circuit. Oil Paper did not get any rank track, but did get the Peach Circuit R and the Green Checker Glider. So I know we were curious about the Royal Oil Paper. It looked like a pretty cool design, but did not get some great tracks for rank necessarily. And we got some really good gliders with 2 buffs. The Yellow Hard Hat Balloon, which was already a number 1 glider, got 2 buffs. Unfortunately, only one of them is a new course. That is the Daisy Circuit T. Autumn Leaves did get the Daisy Circuit RT and Daisy Circuit T. Big win there for the Autumn Leaves, which has come on late. It was literally left from dead maybe after the 2nd or 3rd tour, and it's coming on pretty hot here lately, and I'm sure here in a couple months it'll have we'll see how it goes through the summer, but I would expect certainly in October, November for it to be doing pretty strong. So we'll see how it bridges that gap. And then Fuzzy Kite and 8-bit Goomba, 2 favorite gliders from a lot of people in the community, unfortunately not getting great buffs this tour. At least the Fuzzy Kite got the Peach Circuit R. I mean, 8-bit Goomba got nothing, dude. 2 Choco Islands, big womp for the Gomp. Let's got Luigi's Mustache and Glinting Glider to finish out the list. We'll cut that off there before I get to gliders with 1 buff. Nap, what's your thoughts on the gliders with the most buffs?
It's crazy to see the 8-bit Super Mushroom jump already to the top 10. But that glider is still relatively new. It was released in March. So to see a glider that is already in the top 10 in just 2 months it's something that you don't see every day with any new item. I guess it's the gene of being an 8-bit. although its brothers are still lingering in the top 25, and some of them did not even get any good buffs, like in the case of the 8-bit Kumba, for example. I will say the gold hard hat balloon, as much as it's as a bad start that I have, it did get a really good buff this tour on that Daisy Circuit RT. It's a hard track to cover, so it's great to finally see picking up some great buffs right now, even though if it's still inferior to its non-expensive brother. We're starting to see items that are not that were released last year that are starting to fade out. For example, the Blue Mask went buffless this tour, and the Black Star Shoot did not have a rank appearance this tour, despite receiving a buff on the new track. And as we'll see later on, there are more of these gliders follow this trend right now. We're now starting to see a transition point where the new gliders, like the Wonderful Diamond, the 8-bit Super Mushroom, are starting to get the new paywall favoritism. So these are going to be the new top gliders moving forward.
I like it, man. Good prediction there. Certainly to round out the gliders with one buff at the top of the list, we got Wonderful Garnet, very efficient buff. Really, I think one of the great parts about the algorithm is that it's predictive in nature, and so sometimes the rich get richer. The items that are already at the top of the list get these really good ranked buffs. And if you notice here, the top 3 on our list, the Wonderful Garnet, Wonderful Diamond, and Gold Hard Hat, all 3 get ranked tracks, and that's the only buff that they get. With Peach Circuit T for both Wonderful Garnet and Wonderful Diamond, kind of tough because you have to pick between the two. It might make it tough to invest in both, with them both getting that track. And then Gold Hard Hat Balloon's got the Daisy Circuit RT, which is not an easy one to cover by any means. The rest of the gliders did not necessarily get ranked buffs. Fire Manta got that same Daisy Circuit RT that I mentioned with the Gold Hat Balloon. And really, those are like the only 2 top meta items that got that track. 8-bit Mushroom did get the Peach Circuit RT, which is not in ranked, but we could see it later this year. And same thing with the Calico Toebeam Balloons with the Daisy Circuit T. Black Star Shoe got that same Daisy Circuit T. And Festive Holly, which is just outside the top 10, got the Peach Circuit T. To round out the rest of the gliders with one buff, I'll just kind of touch on the ranked tracks. You got Secret Skull getting the Peach Circuit T. Used to be a really strong glider there. Gold Cloud Balloons used to be a pretty strong too. Daisy Circuit. And then Icy Mario Mustache I'll include in there. Got that Peach Circuit, which you really like. And then you got Luigi's Hat Balloon, which unfortunately has fallen quite a little bit out of the top 10. It's number 32 on our list with that Daisy Circuit RT. And that's probably where I'll draw the line and stop there. But anything stand out to you, Nap?
No, we can keep moving. It's okay.
All right. Yeah, man, you know, sometimes when it comes to those gliders with one buff, unless you're in the top 10, you're not going to get that much attention. But let's move into the top 10. So anytime we're jumping into the top 10, I want to take a little bit of time to explain what all is going on in this slide. It's a little busy, but it's that way on purpose. We kind of wanted to make it like a baseball card type of feel. We can kind of see some stats. You can see some information about the item. But this is, I couldn't do it without Larry98 and a Turtle Dude who help us with a lot of this information. So Larry98, you can see on the right, this is how it looks, the coverage looks like on his sheet. We obviously have pasted it here, but ultimately you can see some of the top skills that also cover his tracks. These are the tracks the way you see them in the game. And so you can kind of see, okay, this track has these other top skills. It's a really quick, easy way for you to see what items. What you like about them is that some of these tracks are kind of narrow. You know, if you think about, you know, these some of these ones in the top there, the Baby Park RT, you know, just has 2 Lucky 7 drivers. They're both Mii's. The one downside is obviously he has the hitbox going against him, but he does have Coin Box, which is nice. Unfortunately, the way he came out, a lot of him and Santa Mii across the board. Just a lot of overlap there, just because of their release, but not the most overlap that they have, which we kind of cover here as well. 29 assumed tracks. These are tracks that are not cities or nitros. So the nitro tracks We do include those on the assumed list for the top, like on some of the last buffing slides. But here we have the assumed tracks separate from the Nitro being tracks that have been released in the game and only come back really once per year, and then the city tracks, which sometimes never come back. The assumed tracks are the tracks that come back multiple times a year, depending on if Nintendo likes them or not. So he has 29 assumed tracks, 13 Nitro tracks left to see. These every time that an item is released and sees a track, it either gets it or it doesn't. For based on the game's history, no one has ever seen a track and then later got it as a buff. So he has 19 tracks left to see, meaning that not necessarily all 19 will go to him, but when he starts to see of the 19, it's kind of more of a tiebreaker. If you're looking at 2 items, this one has more tracks left to see than another. Top skill pairing. This is thanks to a Turtle Dude's coverage optimizer. So when you plug in Larry Wintertime, you say, I want to invest in Larry Wintertime. What other 3 drivers give me the most assumed coverage in the game? And of the 304 assumed tracks in the game, Larry Wintertime would pair really well with Daisy Tie Dress, aka Tie-Dye, Mario Samurai, and White Tanuki Mario. The 4 of these drivers, if you invested in them, would cover 111 of the 304 tracks. So this pairing of adding these 3 drivers to Larry Wintertime would add 83 tracks to Larry Wintertime, which is helpful to know just because you want to cover as much as possible. I would highly recommend taking a look at a Turtle Dude, his coverage optimizer for your own items. I use it all the time. If I'm like, hey, I have this item, this item, this item at level 8, triple cap or quad cap, what other item gives me the most? I did that, and I personally found out a couple of items really helped me out, and it's on a case-by-case basis. Now, again, certainly you use other spreadsheets if you want to plug in everything, but I think when it comes to maxing things out, that's my go-to. As for the top skill overlap, so I think when you look at that, all the items on the right, you want to know which ones does it overlap with Larry Wintertime the most. These might be if you have already invested into Larry Wintertime, or if you're looking at investing in him, you want to see if any of these drivers in the top skill overlap, if you've already invested in them, because it may not be worth you investing in Larry Wintertime. Again, always would recommend taking a look at the spreadsheets and the trackers, and not Antilev for this tour, but highly recommend the Bam and Gerbs, the Rock and Block, the MKD Benz. There's a lot of different options there. Now, when you're looking at 29 assumed tracks and 13 Nitro, 4 isn't a lot, so I wouldn't be too scared of the question mark block. But I think if you've invested heavily into maybe PD Piranha or PD Piranha Gold, which I have, maybe Larry Wintertime with 5 overlaps might deter you. I don't think either one of those numbers are too great that you would be really scared away of. But for what it's worth. So that kind of covers what's going on in this sheet. Let's go to number 9, which is the yellow Mii Racing suit. As we talked about, came out in November, and now here it is 7 months later, crushing it here, up 4 spots to number 9. 18 assumed tracks, 14 Nitro, but all you need is 18 tracks with Giant Banana Mii suit. Got some good pairings covering 104 of the 304 tracks. If you invested into Toad Astronaut, though, you might want to pay attention to those 4 overlap that he has with the yellow Mii Racing suit. I'm talking about Spode. At number 8, we have him at up 1 spot with 27 assumed tracks, 11 Nitro, a whopping 34 tracks. So see, I say whopping. It's not really whopping, but for a driver, of his caliber that's seen a lot of tracks, 34 is not bad. He's still relatively new, is my point, and certainly got some good coverage there. These pairings, man, got some Coinbox love, some White Tanuki love. Both of these pairings, both the Tie-Dye, Gold Charging Chuck, and White Tanuki Mario, and that's all one pairing. And then Daisy Tie Dress, Gold PD Piranha, and White Tanuki Mario. Both of these pairings cover 112 of the 304 tracks. And then you have 4 overlap, which isn't a lot comparatively, but both Peach Happy and Gold Dry Bones, which we don't talk about very often, and the question mark block. At number 7, we do have this PD Piranha Gold, who holds out his spot. 31 tracks left to see, 11 Nitro, 7 tracks left to see. This pairing covering 114 of the 304 tracks. Does have 6 overlap with Pink Shy Guy Ninja and Gold Yoshi Gold something. For someone who did not invest in Gold Yoshi Gold something. I find that as a positive, or Larry Wintertime. So for me, that's not too bad. I mean, you got Kamek in there, who almost everybody invested in him back in the day. 5 overlaps for him and PD Piranha. So PD Piranha Gold, 31 assumed tracks is pretty high though. He's got a lot of stuff in the fall. You'll see him for the Ghost Valleys that you see here over the last couple tours, and we'll see it again in the fall here. White Tanuki Mario up 2 spots to number 6, 32 assumed tracks, 17 Nitro, 4 tracks left to see. This pairing covering a whopping 118 of the 304 tracks. White Tanuki Mario, a really good pairing for some of these meta. Does overlap 7 times though, which is significant with this Rosalina Chef. Obviously, if you're going all full into the Banana Republic, that's 2 giant banana drivers with 7 overlap. That's significant. And then some other drivers with 5 and 4 overlap, which you're not as concerned about. Pete Piranha Me Racing Suit, what a guy. This guy is swell. Just seems to be getting some really good ranked tracks, 22 assumed tracks, 12 Nitro, been just crushing it this year. Up 1 spot to number 5, 4 tracks left to see. I personally have been favoring Pete Piranha Me over Yellow Me, because if you look at it, you know, he's got 22 assumed tracks compared to 18. 4 more tracks, that's enough for me to just get more hyped up on him. I mean, these Me Suits, like getting these additional tracks can be really, really tough. He's got a good pairing with 108 of the 304 tracks. Does overlap 7 times with regular PD Piranha. So you might want to invest in either PD or PD Me. May not want to invest in both. Not too worried about the other overlaps. Daisy Tie Dress, tie-dye. As you can see, her track list is very narrow. Not too many other drivers can overlap with her, which is really, really good. It's one of the benefits of her. 35 assumed tracks, it's a lot. 15 Nitro, 4 tracks left to see. Pretty good pairings here with 118 of the 304 tracks. The downside though, guys, is she's kind of Gold Me light. She does have 8 overlap with Gold Me Suit, which as the #1 driver in the game, spoiler alert, that's kind of alarming. If you haven't invested into Gold Me, maybe she's helped you out in a pinch, because she is kind of that Gold Me light. But we're starting to get to the point that where 8 out of those tracks is a decent amount for something that gets those massive base points and just has a crazy, insane buffing cycle. 7 overlaps though with the Yoshi Kangaroo. Question block Me Racing Suit, holding out number 3 on our list. 28 assumed tracks, 9 Nitro. 28 assumed tracks is a lot for me. Really, really good job for him. The decent pairing here, covering 113 of the 304 tracks. Does overlap with some with Mario Sad Love You. Not too worried about that. And PD Piranha. One of the benefits of the question mark block is that he doesn't have a lot of competition. He has a lot of exclusive tracks for me coin boxes. So I mean, either of the 2 coin box Me Suits are must invest in, even at this point in the game. Gold Charging Chuck though, still crushing it. 32 assumed tracks, 16 Nitro. Seems to get some really good tracks when he gets the buffs. 4 tracks left to see. This pairing covers 118 of the 304 tracks. You're seeing a lot of Daisy Tie Dress, a lot of White Tanuki Mario in general on these pairings list. You do get regular Charging Chuck and Gold Yoshi Gold something, 6 overlaps. Not too worried about the bottom one. Well, here we go. No suspense here. Gold Me Racing Suit, the #1 driver in the game for past, present, future. This guy is going to dominate this year. 32 assumed tracks, 16 Nitro. He's seen every track in the game. This pairing, including Gold Charging Chuck, White Tanuki Mario, and Mario Samurai, 113 of the 304 tracks. As we talked about, it does overlap 8 times with Daisy Tie Dress, 7 times with Gold Yoshi Gold something and Peach Happy, and then 5 times with Meowser and Luigi Vacation Nap. Hopefully you didn't start to take a nap. We've only had drivers go into our top 10 or hold out their position. Gold Me Racing Suit, the #1 driver in the game, is at 100 on this scale, so massive jump between him and Gold Charging Chuck, which is at 88 on that raw score, and then a huge jump between him and the question mark block, and that should say it all. Got a lot of big movers here between the Yellow Me Racing Suit, even White Tanuki Mario, but other than that, it's a lot of coin box and even a couple big giant bananas in there. Only 2 boomerang drivers, which has been, I think we've seen a lot of boomerang drivers in the top 10 over the last year. But what's your thoughts on the top 10 drivers in the game?
So the top 10 for drivers has been pretty much straightforward for the past couple of tours, and it's mainly because there hasn't been many drivers been releasing out in the game. So the moving has been mostly about Miis, the plus skill ones. The top pretty much still stays the same. It's just a little movement between places number 5 to 15 to 25. So it's not as fair. It's not as we don't see much variations as we see with karts and gliders. So it's nice to see some new faces showing up here. The yellow Mii racing suit has been pretty hot lately. Will it get to the top 5 though? It's something that we are yet to see. But for now, it's nice to see it being in the top 10 right now.
I'm with you. And to round out that top 15, we got Meowser at 11, Yoshi Gold, Egg Gold something at 12, P Piranha at 13, Light Blue Shy Guy Explorer slowly climbing the list at 14, and then Santa Mii Racing Suit at 15. Let's get into karts. So we have at number 10, we have the Tyco Drum Dasher, which we alluded to earlier, up a whopping 13 spots to get into the top 10, 23 assumed tracks, 7 nitro, 120 tracks left to see, which is a lot. That's a lot of tracks left to see. I'd say the hitbox is probably right there at that minimum viable hitbox, that MVH that we talk about, you know, kind of around the tropical truck area. That's where I draw my minimum value, minimum viable hitbox. But some of you might feel like you can get more control out of it. It's up to you. I will say, when it comes to pairings, this is one of the most popular ones. Yellow Off-Roader, Armored Rider, and Gold Bruiser. I keep looking at the Gold Bruiser like, what if that would help me out? Because that one, those 3 plus the Tyco Drum Dasher cover 107 of the 304 tracks, which is really good. The Rainbow Streetle, or maybe this is the regular Streetle, who cares? It does overlap at 6 times. However, the Flower Bandwagon has been a top 10 meta kart. Does overlap 5 times, and the Warrior Wagon 4 times, which used to be in the top 10. Some people had invested in it because of the large hitbox. We have the Shield Speedster, which has basically been in our top 10 for the last 9 months there. 28 assumed tracks, 12 nitro, still 4 tracks left to see. A good pairing, covering 108 of the 304 tracks. Does overlap though 6 times with the Red Off-Roader and the Piranha Pipes, and then 5 times with the Gold Eagle and the blue Crawley cards. So again, you know, I think the Red Off-Roader 6, it's probably where I'd start to be alarmed. Because they're both large hitbox, both worth investing in. It might impact whether you invest in or not. It's up to you. The blue Crawley card, who I just alluded to, 22 assumed tracks, 8 nitro, 58 tracks left to see, to go up 2 spots to number 8 on our list. Some good pairings here. Now you're starting to see the Blazing Eagle jumping into these pairings, which you gotta love. Both of these 2 pairings cover 104 of the 304 tracks. Does overlap there with the Streetle and the Jukebox Buggy and the Shield Speedster and Armored Rider. So a couple meta items in there. Again, you know, I think the blue Crawley, we'll see what happens with it. It is number 8 on our list, so you can't scoff at it. But man, Armored Rider and Shielded Speedster, those are 2 tough ones that I hate to see overlap with it. But 5 when you only have 22 assumed tracks, 8 nitro, you know, 30 tracks total. It's kind of significant. Blooper Shuttle, 27 assumed tracks, 10 nitro, 34 tracks left to see. Still on the newer side. Some of these pairings cover 108 of the 304 tracks. Those overlap 7 times with the Rainbow Taxi, 5 times with the Lunar Cruiser and the Blazing Eagle. Definitely don't like seeing the Blazing Eagle there on the overlap. At number 6, Moo Moo Off-Roader, up 1 spot, 28 assumed tracks, 9 nitro, a little bounce back after last tour. 2 pairings cover 108 of the 304 tracks. Nice to see the pink speeder on there. Overlaps with 3 really small carts, so don't worry too much about the Moo Moo Off-Roader. Substantially larger, who knows, maybe twice as large as some of these carts, except for the Warrior Wagon. At number 5, the Camo Tanuki cart fell down 1 spot. 27 assumed tracks, 12 nitro, 15 tracks left to see. As we mentioned, one of the most common pairing, Yellow Off-Roader, Armored Rider, and Gold Bruiser, covering 110 of the 304 tracks. Those overlap 7 times with the Gold Boil Blaster and the This is the Rainbow Streetle. No, regular Streetle. 6 times with the Cact B, 5 times with the Pink Speeder, Rainbow Taxi, and then this is the Rainbow Streetle. At number 4, Red Off-Roader fell 1 spot, 20 assumed tracks, 13 Nitro, 4 tracks left to see. The most common pairing in the game, as we talked about a couple times, covering 105 of the 304 tracks. Does overlap 7 times with the Lightning Streamliner, which is kind of alarming there. 6 times with some other meta carts, including the Shielded Speedster, the Gold Bolt Blaster, and Pink Speeder. Some serious overlap to take a second look at. Rainbow Streetle, number 3 on our list, up 2 spots, 26 assumed tracks, 6 Nitro, 77 tracks left to see. Please look at your tracker, see if this has to like blow it out of the water for you to invest in it. The hitbox is just really small. We saw the regular Streetle in our top 10 for a while, and then it just dropped off. That hitbox really hurts its score. But right now, it's doing really well. It's getting some really good coverage, and even when you look at there, kind of towards the bottom of its coverage that you see from the Larry 98 sheet, you see like 3 carts, 2 carts, 3 carts, 2 carts, 1 cart. So there are some really good options in there, but again, you have to just be willing to know that it kind of like the non-me drivers kind of has a short shelf life. You have to embrace it, ride it while you have it, and then just know that stuff bigger than better than it will come by and take some of its tracks away. Pink Speeder, if you haven't, again, all these speeders came out at the same time, nearly, maybe within 1 or 2 tours of each other. And unfortunately, that just hurt the value of each one of them in our minds, because I think the Pink Speeder, we've been talking about it for a while. It's got some phenomenal coverage, but I think we just kind of got burnt out from so many speeders that were kind of shoved down our throat all at once. It's got 28 assumed tracks, 13 Nitro, still 19 tracks left to see. Pairs really well with the most common pairing there. 112 of the 304 tracks. Does overlap 6 times with the Red Off-Roader and 5 times with the Blazing Eagle and the Camo Tuning cart. So those 3 carts, that is kind of scary. Definitely the Blazing Eagle and Red Off-Roader are bigger than the Pink Speeder. Camo Tuning cart might be pretty close, but overall it's really good. It covers a lot of gaps for a lot of players, so definitely take a look at that. And then without further ado, the Blazing Eagle, which as you know started with a city tour, and so you see 20 Nitro out there, which is very glaring, but you also have 27 assumed tracks, so a total of 47 tracks. Still 11 tracks left to see. Got that most common pairing there again. Does overlap 5 times, which again, 5 out of 47 tracks, not too bad. Red Off-Roader 5, Pink Speeder, Blooper Shuttle, all 5 times. So definitely worth noting there. And that's our top 10. Some big movement there, up from the Pink Speeder and definitely the Tyco Drum Dasher. Couple people dropped. The Blooper Shuttle unfortunately made the biggest drop, down 5 spots. But you notice there, Blazing Eagle, of its raw score of 100 as the number 1 item, big drop. 15-point drop all the way down to Pink Speeder at 85, and then everyone else is neck and neck all the way down to 75. So definitely a huge whopping gap there between Blazing Eagle. I've quad capped it. I love it. Blazing Eagle is the way to go. It's gonna have a blazing summer, that is for sure. To round out the top 15, we got Gold Lunar Cruiser at 11, Rainbow Taxi at 12, Armored Rider at 13, Gold Bolt Blaster at 14, and Streetle at 15. Nap, what you think about our cards, man?
So the thing with the Blooper Shuttle, the reason why it fell to 7th is because it received only 1 buff this tour, and it wasn't a ranked one. So it pretty much got no relevance this tour whatsoever. And unlike the Pink Speeder, who rose up to 2nd, it received 2 buffs, 2 of the new tracks, and I believe it's been one of the few cards that received 2 AWOL buffs this tour. And one of them was also a rank appearance, so it was, as I mentioned before, a big winner of it. The Tyco Drum Dasher went up 13 spots, all the way from 23 to 10th. We don't know if it's going to be sustainable, the top 10 placement, but I think it's a card that is going to be around the top 15 margin, provided it doesn't get like really bad buffs for the next couple of tours. And finally, the Blazing Eagle, despite getting a really bad off this tour, it's still the undisputed best car in the game, and it's not even close. You see the gap between the first and second place. It's just a whopping 15 points.
Crazy.
And it helps a lot that the last two tours, it got some amazing buffs that even the dot that it got this tour, it doesn't even affect its value. Like, it's still very good, and it's nice to see that it overcame its old city start. Despite starting up with like 10 city tracks, it has more retros and nitros at this point, now 27 and 20. So it's nice to see that such a, I could say, maybe an underdog story, you could say.
Yeah.
It got started up with pretty much nothing. It became really good now, and it's now the #1 best car in the game right now. And it's been that way for the past couple of months. And I think it's going to continue for at least a couple more tours now.
I'm with you, man. It's definitely a comeback story. I love it so far. You mentioned the Tyco Drum Dasher, if that's sustainable. The one thing that makes me optimistic that it could be sustainable is that sometimes we see stuff that happen that are unique to a tour. Like, this is the Princess Tour. So items that are pink, like the pink speeder that went up 4 spots, that might have to do with a little bit more having to do with this being a Princess Tour with the pink. And
yeah, definitely.
And so that might be more of a not sustainable jump. Compared to the Tyco Drum Dasher, I don't see as much ties in with the Princess aspect. So I can see this being a little bit more sustainable, in my opinion. You know, and Rainbow Street will probably kind of fitting into that little Princess fun theme. It's a little weaker of a tie-in, but Pink Speeder, definitely for me, a little bit more. I can see this falling down back to number 3 or 4, but still, you know, again, a top 5 card. If you have to invest in it, this might be the tour to do it, because it is all Princess-related items. And it's certainly, we'll talk
things are going to change, though. I mean, you know, the Pink Speeder might drop down like a spot or 2 in the next tour, and the Booper Shuttle is going to rise up again. It's just that it had a bad tour, so it doesn't mean that the value is going to keep up falling. It's going to get back into the top 5.
Yeah, and one of the great things that we include on here is the raw score. So if you notice here, Rainbow Streetle is 83.68. Red Off-Roader is 83.59. Camel Tanuki Kart, 82.92. Mumu Off-Roader, 82.37. Blooper Shuttle, 82.32. And then Blue Crawley Kart, 82.28. So really, there's only like 1 point between all 6 of these carts. So yeah, they're all basically neck and neck.
8 is pretty close. Well, 3 and 8.
Yeah, between 3 and 8 are all super, super close. So again, you know, yes, they're moving up and down, but that's why we include the raw scores, to help you get the best access to as much data as possible, because you guys love data. You guys are the stud fam. You love your data. Let's get into gliders. We got the Black Starshoot, 28 assumed tracks, 15 nitro, 4 tracks left to see. This pairing covers 109 of the 304 tracks. Got some overlap, though. This overlap is tough, guys. I mean, we're talking about this many tracks. 9's a lot. Like, 9 is a lot. Even 8 up from... So 9, we saw that the Boo Masks and the Black Starshoot came at the same tour, and they basically got, you know, very similar tracks to start. And they kept getting more buffs similar to each other. Now, it has since gone farther away, but they still have a lot of tracks tied to each other. But the 8-bit Bolt build, this is alarming that it's somehow caught up. I mean, both of them look really cool. They're kind of baddie gliders, but the 8-bit Bolt build covering 8 tracks. That is kind of alarming for what has been a glider that's been pretty strong in the meta. At number 9, we get the Fire Manta glider, been one of the sneakiest gliders of the year, up 2 spots to number 9. 29 assumed tracks, 15 nitro, 4 tracks left to see. It was a new special pipe item when it was released, which, you know, kind of have always been a little bit stronger than the other items in the game. Some good pairings that, you know, that you see here with the Calico Toe Beam balloons covering 111 of the 304 tracks. The downside, though, is if you are one of those whales who went all in on the gold hard hat, 7 overlap there. That's kind of alarming. You do have 6 overlap with the block glider, 8-bit block glider. I've invested in all 3 of these gliders, so it's unfortunate they all kind of overlap with each other, but really all strong. Alluding to the Calico Toe Beam balloons, we have that at number 8, down 3 spots, 30 assumed tracks, 10 nitro, 11 tracks left to see. 30 tracks assumed tracks is pretty good. A couple pairings cover 115 of the 304 tracks. Those overlap 6 times with the Yoshi cookies and the 8-bit Goomba. Unfortunately, we've seen the 8-bit Goomba not do quite as hot as we wanted, and then a couple items overlap with it 5 times. At number 7, the 8-bit 1-Up Mushroom. What started out as an amazing glider this year, unfortunately, at least in the meta, and this tour probably did not help it at all. Fell down a couple spots. It's down to 7. Still worth investing in. Here it is. It's in rank to this tour. I'm not getting too down on it. If you want to invest in it, you have Studfit support. I absolutely love this glider. It's going to continue to do pretty well. It's going to be I still feel like it'll remain in the top 10, definitely top 15, potentially for the rest of the year. I mean, I'm just really bullish on it, and it's been really, really strong. It's kind of sad to see the 7, to be honest with you. We do have a couple other gliders that overlap with it a decent amount. I mean, like almost a third of the tracks, and maybe almost a fourth of the tracks there with the Mario's Hat Balloon. 7 overlaps with the Piranha Plant balloons, 6 with Calico Toe Beam balloons, and a pair of Panini. Really, I mean, I think some of these you might have invested in. I still feel like the 8-bit 1-Up Mushroom is the safest of all 4 of those investments. You do have this whopping jump here from the 8-bit Super Glider. This is actually kind of insane. I'm actually like
17 spots is crazy.
I don't know if I've seen this big of a jump into such a high spot in our top 10. But I will say, out of any category, it would happen in gliders. That's kind of where you see a lot of parity.
Yep.
Just because we don't really rank any of the skills, that's not necessarily as relevant. So it all has to do with coverage. But I do know, I think it was Kareem and a couple other people had invested in this early. You guys are winning. This is 17 whopping spots to number 6 on our list. 25 assumed tracks, 7 nitro, 88 tracks left to see, which is a lot. I mean, it literally just came out a couple tours ago. Obviously we had a couple releases of 8-bit items, and we got like the checkered ones. It's not the checkered ones. It's the 8-bit Super Glider. So just be aware of that. But it probably was one of the few items from that 8-bit tour that came out on top. We got the Goomba and the block glider that did not do quite as well. And of course, this is the most boring one of them all, which is unfortunate. But I don't believe. Correct me if I'm wrong now, but I don't think this was a commemorative item. Whereas I believe
this was the week 1. The Goomba was the commemorative item.
The Goomba was. So this is one of those exceptions. We're going to see exceptions on all sides, but this is definitely one exception to take note of. This pairing covers 107 of the 304. The Wonderful Diamond 6 overlap. That's alarming. I know the Wonderful Diamond, a huge fan favorite. So many people love this Wonderful Diamond, and rightfully so. So to see this 8-bit overlap with it is a little spooky if you wanted to get in on this 8-bit super action. 5 overlap though with 2 other meta gliders, including the yellow hard hat balloons. At number 5, up 3 spots. This one is a little notorious because it was one of, I think, just 2 items, right, that came out in a 1999 Premium Challenge.
Premium Plus, I think it was.
Yeah, Premium Plus, and it had a terrible start. I mean, it looked fine like that initial tour, and then every tour after that was just absolutely god awful.
The first couple of tours, the boss were atrocious for this glider.
Atrocious. It's come back all right. I mean, we're talking about 32 assumed tracks. Can't be that bad. Only 7 nitro. You rarely see less than 10. Still has 33 tracks left to see, so its future could still be ahead of it. I don't know what to say. I'm still kind of in a wait and see. Now, I've already put tickets on it. I could triple uncap it, but man, I'm just holding out. I don't know if I want to ride this be my ride or die. It's been really weird. Now, here's the thing: is that they could set this is the first one that they've released like that, so maybe they set precedents and just say, this will have a long-gated value. This will be a long-term investment. This will get buffs over the course of 12 months and see a buffing cycle unlike anything else. That could totally happen. And then in which case, those of us who invested early, it looked like we were wishing that we had regretted our decision. We look like we're all-stars, look like smart people, which for a long time it looked the opposite. Does overlap those.
A fun fact about this glider is that it has 1 less total track than the yellow hard balloon, but it has more retros. This one has 32, the yellow has 28, but the big difference between these two gliders is the quality of tracks. The yellow hard hat has a better quality of tracks, whereas this one just has like a slightly better quantity of tracks. So that's the big difference between these two gliders.
Thank you for pointing that out, Nap. Really insightful. It does have 7 overlap with the Golden Wings, which many people invested in last year. 7's a decent amount. 7's pretty high for a glider. And then the Fire Manta glider, as we kind of talked about, it's been pretty strong and sneaky in the meta. So just be aware of that. Those are really alarming. Less alarming is the Boom Masks and Piranha Plant balloons, but worth noting. Autumn Leaves, big jump here from 9 to number 4 on our list, up 5 spots. 31 assumed tracks, 11 nitro, 11 tracks up to C. This one, kind of like this gold hard hat, it just had like a really late blooming production here. Some of these pairings cover 113 of the 304 tracks. This cream toe beam balloons covering a 7 overlap. Not too concerned about that. However, these two nice old school items, the block glider and the yellow hard hat, covering 6 of those tracks when you're talking about overlap. So worth noting, but I wouldn't say any of that's alarming. If you like the Autumn Leaves, feel free to go into it, even if it is a little late. Wonderful Diamond, a fan favorite, 25 assumed tracks, 8 nitro, 58 tracks up to C. It's a lot of tracks up to C, so don't worry, it's not too late. You can still jump on the Wonderful Diamond bandwagon. It is racing. That bandwagon is. There might not be any tickets left. It is a full train, that is for sure.
It's so good right now.
It's so good. People love it. It's an awesome looking glider. And actually, I kind of would be really cool to pair with some of the Cupid's arrow, the gold and silver that we have. It's just like a really cool little pairing.
It actually has the same diamond that the gold Cupid's arrow has on its card and the same color scheme.
Guy like that, man. What more to say, man? If you like the aesthetics like me, that just seems like a cool little pairing to invest in. It does overlap with some gliders that I wouldn't be too concerned about, except for that 8-bit super that we talked about a little earlier. And then the gem brother sister, whatever you want to call it, to that Wonderful Diamond, the Wonderful Garnet, the one that came out in January. 28 assumed tracks, 17 nitro. Fun fact, that's my birthstone. 19 tracks left to see. It does have 108 of the 304 tracks. With a very unique pairing. I don't think I've seen this one quite yet. With the gold hard hat, record setter, and Sakura origami glider. It does overlap 7 times with the pair of Panini, which we've seen overlap a lot with these gliders for whatever reason. And then some other options, including 8-bit super and the Fire Manta. And then last but not least, guys, the yellow hard hat balloons. 28 assumed tracks, 12 nitro. Still 33 tracks left to see. Pairs really well with some of these 8-bit items. No surprise there. Kind of this builder theme, and kind of came out with the 8-bit items. Kind of came out in that tour as well. 112 of the 304 tracks. Does overlap 6 times with the fuzzy kite and the rainbow fair flyer and autumn leaves. And then some of these overlap. I don't think 5 and 6 are. Well, maybe the fuzzy kites you have to worry about and autumn leaves and stuff, but I mean, really none of these have hit the meta for over a long period of time. So if you have to invest in the yellow hard hat, I think you have a pretty clear go ahead. I will say it's pretty neck and neck between that and the Wonderful Garnet. Less than 1 point on the raw score between the yellow hard hat and Wonderful Garnet. Really strong there, and then 4 points between the Wonderful Garnet and the Wonderful Diamond. Autumn Leaves, as we talked about, up 5 spots, but the big one you can't help but look at is just the 8-bit super glider. Insane jump there, but yeah, they're all kind of neck and neck, just a couple points away from each other. To round out the top 15, you got the Nabbit Parachute at 11, Festive Holly at 12, Mario Hat Balloon at 13, Piranha Plant Balloons at 14, and Sakura Origami Glider at 15. So there's our top 15 gliders. What's your thoughts, Nat?
So, as we mentioned before, with the 8-bit Super Glider, it jumped up 17 spots. It received 4 buffs this tour, but those 4 buffs are actually very good since there isn't a particular meta glider that occupies all 4 of those tracks. The only thing is the Wonderful Diamond that has 2 of those. The 8-bit Wonder Mushroom
it got a buff this tour, and he also got a rank appearance, but it just fell one spot. Not because it's falling down, but it's mostly because the gliders that it has in front of it just got the buffs were better this tour. The buff that the one-up motion got, it wasn't a rank appearance, but still, I think this glider is still, as you mentioned, very strong. Even though it's starting to fade up a little bit, it's still a very nice glider to invest into and to have there. It's a very good glider for coverage, for ACR, even for rank. It's still getting those rank appearances. The Fire Manta glider is still rising up. This is definitely one of those gliders that is a late bloomer. The fact that it's still getting paywall tracks at this point, it's still very nice. I still have no incentive to invest into it since it's very late now. But those people who invested into it are reaping off those rewards right now.
Yeah, you know what? When we kind of going back to what we discussed earlier about kind of families of gliders and karts that, you know, always one seems to be kind of doing better than others. The Manta family has always been above average, but there's never been one golden child. I'm putting the stamp on the Fire Manta glider. It is the golden child of the Manta gliders, in my opinion. So I'm with you there, though. It's been sneaky good. It's hard to get excited about the investment, but if you have to for ranked, man, it's just been pretty decent, and no one's talking about it. It's unfortunate. Let's talk about those movers and shakers, though. In addition to some of the items we just referred to, we do have some big movers. Moo Me went up 74 spots to 63. The Larry Me suit, we saw that at number 22, went up 60 points, guys. That is insane. That's massive. Now he's a plus skill. He's a me. You gotta love him. Now I will say, Nap put his chips on the Morton. And Larry's been out for one tour more than Morton, so we'll see what happens there. But Morton went up 23 spots to 56. So if you think about it, you know, Larry started at 82 going into this tour, and he, you know, Morton, you know, with one tour behind is already at 56. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be neck and neck. Poochie did go up 21 spots to 30, which is really good for him. Moving into karts, we did the biggest mover was the Gold Sushi Racer. Unfortunately, we only went up to number 85 on our list. The Black Jingle Bell did go up a whopping 108 spots all the way to 50. That's pretty massive. It's a massive jump. I remember looking at its tracks. It got some Snowlands in there. If you want to invest in it, we don't really have a favorite child of the the Jingle Bells. So we'll see what happens there. It did kind of come out in a weird position. I wonder what Nintendo has in store for it. If you want to go sneaky or do like a sneaky investment, guys, I don't know, man. That could be kind of cool. The Black Jingle Bell, that's raising some eyebrows in my opinion. We got the Dragonfly up 30 spots to 69. Had to point that out. Jumbo Jetter up 34 spots to 44. Which is really good. I've been keeping my eye on that Jumbo Jetter. And then we got the Pink Comet, one of my personal new favorite investments, up 29 spots to 74. Still has a long way to go, though. But I will say I do like its buffs this tour. Most improved gliders. Gold Manta glider went up 62 spots to 76. We did get the Smiley Flower glider with the most buffs of any glider this tour. Did go up 26 spots to 45. So it broke the top 50. That's pretty good. Had a real slow start. It had a real tough couple tours here after it was released in the Yoshi tour, but it is at number 45. That is really exciting. And then, as we already alluded to, the 8-bit Super Glider up 17 spots. Yoshi's Cookies to 44, up 17 spots as well. Anything you want to add here, Nap? What's your thoughts on the movers and shakers?
That's okay. You got it pretty covered. Forward.
All right, man. I gotta pat myself on the back for that. Let's talk about week 2 of ranked. Obviously, week 1 is over, so there's nothing you can do about that. If you get this and you do really well in this on this cup for this ranked, you get the pink me, man. You get the base points, so it's a must win for a lot of players, especially those who invested in me's. You gotta win if you possibly can. Nothing gets unlocked with Peach Circuit. For Snowland T, a decent number though. You got the light blue Shy Guy Explorer at level 6. He's a plus skill. Now he's not a me, but if you do not have Santa Me, you do not have Larry Me, he might be a decent option for you. because again, you got to win this. Rainbow Me at level 8 unlock, probably less likely. I don't mind maybe taking, like I said, for me, it's like I hate throwing tickets or driver tickets around on anything, but if I have to win this one and I take something to level 6 like light blue Shy Guy Explorer, that one I'm not feeling too bad about, all things considered. That's the one few exceptions I might make. It's just because it's level 6. Level 8, not doing it. Level 3, I definitely would consider, but I mean, level 6 is right there on the fringe. Might be worth your while to look into it. Blue Crawly Kart, if you do like the look of it, let's get this level 6 unlock. Again, it didn't get great buffs this tour, but this was a track that is coming back, and you're really happy about that part. And if you already have it at level 4 or 5, you might just want to take it. You might want to think about taking it to 6. I will say though, if you have to make any investments this tour for ranked to win week 2, it's these next two: Silver Cupid's Arrow at level 6 and Wonderful Diamond at level 6. These almost seem like no-brainers. Out of all the tracks, really, I mean, I think that the Snowland T might be a good one to get some extra points on. Daisy Circuit RT is one of the toughest tracks to be for coverage wise. It's just, you know, Yellow Me, and that's about it. And then you got karts are a struggle bus, gliders are a struggle. It's just kind of a tough one to cover. It's got a lot of actions, which is really good. So that part it could really help you out of ranked, but it's just items that are not necessarily highlighted in the meta. Whereas with this Snowland T, if you want to, you know, if you're going with Santa Me, you're going with Larry, paired with a Silver Cupid's Arrow and Wonderful Diamond, woohoo! Man, that sounds hot. I like it. I like it, man. Talking about Cupid's Arrow, we do have a level 8 unlock for the gold Cupid's Arrow on the Daisy Circuit RT. Anything you want to add about ranked in general? I mean, it's a must-win for you too, Nap. What's your thoughts?
So for Peach Circuit, even though there is no unlockables for any items, you don't necessarily need to unlock something to have top shelf here, since there is a super option on all 3 categories, and most importantly on the drivers. The regular Peach, the super one, she got this track as a buff, and it's going to be the savior for pretty much everybody, including both of us.
Yep.
Even the cards, you have options like the regular Cupid's Arrow, you got a super in there, as well as for the gliders. The nail in the coffin for most people is going to be that Daisy Circuit. It's a really, really tough track to cover. Even for most whales, it could be a really hard track to cover entirely. Especially since out of all the 3 of these tracks, Daisy Circuit has the highest scoring potential of all 3. I will say, unless you're going for boombox with the Larry suit on Snowland T. But the Daisy Circuit is really hard to cover. You don't have many great options for karts and gliders, and even for drivers, your best option is going to be like the Yellow Me Racing Suit if you have it, or if not, then Daisy Ferry. That's not a great option. So this is going to be one of the toughest ranked cups in a while now.
It's going to be rough, and we saw a lot of people, even on my friends list, exceed 200 points last week. And now we're seeing those same people like Kareem, get like 150, 160. So yeah, it's definitely going to be lower comparatively. So don't feel too alarmed that your scores are really low. Everyone's are really low. But man, I'm still looking at this Silver Cupid's Arrow and Wonderful Diamond. If you have those 2 pairings at level 6, let us know in the comments, because that just seems like such a cool pairing to have. But I'm with you guys. That Snowland T, that's a good one to get, man. That's good. I think a lot of meta items there. Everything else is going to be really tough. But yeah, I'm with you. That Peach Circuit, it's going to be, we're all rolling with the Princess. It's so funny that they have a super on one of the toughest to cover top shelves in the game so far. Let's get into multiple use for ranked. We talked about Pink Me Suit. Can't even get it until Tuesday at midnight or 1 o'clock or whatever it is, Eastern. But you can use it 3 times this tour, which is such a slap in the face. I can't believe it. Daisy Me Suit 2 times, along with Daisy Dr. Peach, Lemmy Me Suit, regular Peach, Peach Me. It's Princess Tour, guys. What do you expect? You get the Piranha Plant, not the PD Piranha, but just regular Piranha. Santa used twice. Toadette Astronaut used twice as well. For the carts, there are 2 carts, both used 3 times. And that's both the Cupid's Arrow, gold and silver. Thanks to a level 6 unlock for the silver and level 8 unlock for the gold. Absolutely love those new. This is how it should be. Is like have these new items, a triple feature. I'm surprised they haven't been doing this all along. I will say the Tropical Truck has been crushing it for me as my level 8 quad cap. One of my favorite carts in the game, as you can see over one of my shoulders. I think it's this one. One of my favorite carts in the game, used twice. It's been just absolutely crushing rank. We didn't talk about it yet today, but man, that one's been so clutch. I think if out of anything I've invested in the last 9 months, that's probably the one I would do it all over again as quick as possible. Blazing Eagle's probably right there as well. Man, even I definitely like those more than Moo Moo Off-Roader, maybe even more than Shielded Speedster. So Tropical Truck's been just like really good for me. Its hitbox hurts it on the algorithm, but man, I just love it. It's right there above the minimum viable hitbox for me. Bucali, thanks to that level 6 unlock, can be used twice as well. And then Pink Speeder, we kind of talked about that already. Nothing to unlock, and you can use it twice. For gliders, Glittering Glider 3 times. It's the only one you can use 3 times. Nothing to unlock for it either. You just buy it 3 times, you got it level 3 on 3 tracks. So that's how it should be for the newer players, just to be able to get caught up. Chocolate Pretzel, Mini Mint and Berry Balloons, Pretzel Glider, and Wonderful Garnet, all used 2 times straight up. Gold Bells used twice, and the Wonderful Diamonds used twice, thanks to those level 6 unlocks. So there you go. Good luck in ranked. Hopefully you win week 2, if nothing else. We also have the All Cup ranking MVPs. We got Peach Me Racing Suit. We got, first of all, a lot of peaches. Peaches. We got the Peach Me used 10 times, along with Dr. Peach. Peach Halloween, and Peach Yukata, and Peach Wedding, and Daisy Me Racing Suit, all used 9 times. See any themes going on there? We also have Daisy Me Suit, Moo Moo Me Suit, Piranha Plant Me Suit, Rosalina Chef, Yellow Me Suit, Daisy Tie Dress, Luigi Chef, Santa Me Suit, Dr. Mario, and Parabitty Bud Me Racing Suit, all used 8 times there. And as we talked about, these Cupid's Arrows are not only crushing ranked, but also crushing All Cup ranking, as the gold Cupid's Arrow used 12 times and silver 11 times. Streetle used 9 times, pink, along with the Pink Speeder and Pink Sneaker. You also have the Pink B-Dash Mark II, Tuk Tuk Kart, Cream Cat Cruiser, Goo Goo Pink, and Rainbow Streetle, all used 8 times. Then the top of the list for All Cup ranking for gliders is the Glittering Glider, used 12 times, Gold Bell 11 times, Wonderful Garnet, Glittering Parasol, Pretzel Glider, Cat Parafoil, Nabbit Parachute, all used 9 times, Candlelight Flight Cake, 8-Bit 1-Up Mushroom, Mario's Mustache, Minty Berry Balloons, and Pink Magnifying Glass, all used 8 times there. What's your thoughts on All Cup ranking? Is that something that's in your future, Nap?
No, it's all good. It's all good. Gotta give you another pat in the back for that one.
No, man. I mean, you're a king of multiplayer, which rounds out our episode. We have one more slide left, but I first want to just thank you, Nap, for joining us. If you'd like to join the rundown, the first thing you should do is clear out your Mondays. We've been doing Member Multiplayer Monday every other tour for, I think, probably over a year now, and Nap's won it twice, and he's been able to join us on the rundown. So thanks again, Nap, for being with us. What's your thoughts? How'd you think? What are your thoughts on the tour? What do you think about being on the rundown? What's your thoughts in general, man?
I know, as always, I like the tour, and it's always a pleasure to be able to join this, even though I got some big shoes to fill. I'm no Antilev after all, but it's always a pleasure to be a part of the crew to deliver the intel to the community with the rundown, with either car talk or by other ways to let the people know what are the good items, what to invest in, what to look forward into, like all that stuff. It's a pleasure to be here once again.
Well, thank you for joining me. Thanks for joining us on Mondays. You're an absolute beast in the multiplayer races. Battle, you're still improving, but racing, you just blow us out of the water, man. You crush us. It's insane. So with that, we conclude our official episode. if you would like to hear about the data mining, stick around. We're going to cover that in a second. But for everyone else, we'll see you later. See you on Kart Talk coming up here in a day or so. Now, for those who don't want to be spoiled, please turn away. But we do have from Cupids, one of the best data miners in the business, has revealed to us. By the way, almost all of his predictions, I think every single one of his predictions was completely right for this tour. So this could be basically as solid as gold. But Cupids has revealed to us what's going to happen next tour, which is the Mario versus Luigi tour. And until we're proven wrong, we're going to go ahead and assume that these are all facts. But this has been uncovered by Cupids in the data mining. Always want to give him credit for that. There will be 3 new tracks. So as all with all variants, so as we alluded to, 3 new tracks times 4 variants. It's going to be insane. New items are going to get insane coverage. Items that were released this tour. That's why I'm so excited about these Cupids arrows, is that they could be really monster next tour if they get 4 or 5 buffs, like items often do. Could be really, really strong, because this tour we have new tracks. Next tour got new tracks. Anything came out in the last 2 or 3 tours is going to end up walking away with a lot of great tracks as the rest of the year goes on. But we will get Luigi Circuit, Waluigi Stadium, and Mario Raceway. Obviously, the one that sticks out to me, Waluigi Stadium. Big Waluigi fan. You know, these circuits and Mario Raceway I've heard is pretty bland. Luigi's any GameCube Nintendo is a big, always an awesome course to have come back. We'll also get some new drivers. We'll get Gold Luigi Knight. Makes me wonder, will we get a new Coinbox driver? And we haven't had a non-plus skill non-me plus skill Coinbox driver since what, King Mario, right? So it's been a while. I guess maybe Gold PD Piranha if you count them. They kind of came out back to back, but it's been enough time for them to come out with a Coinbox driver. What do you think? Good Gold Luigi Knight? You think it could be Coinbox?
Well, honestly, you don't know, since not all the gold drivers have been Coinbox, but I think there's a good shot that this Luigi Knight might be able to be Coinbox. And if it doesn't be true, I mean, how good is it going to be with such a meta heavy focus right now? I honestly don't know what I would like it to be, but I think it could be Coinbox since, as you mentioned, it has been enough time. We haven't had a Coinbox driver in all of 2023 so far. The last one was Larry Wintertime, I think it was the last one. Yeah, so it's been all the way since December. Yeah. I think I will say maybe we're due for another Coinbox. It's been a long time. So I think if we're going to get a new Coinbox driver, this Luigi could be it.
I mean, I feel like there's probably a 90% chance this is going to be a Coinbox driver.
Yeah, I think it's very likely.
But I mean, it's cool that they're doing Luigi Knight though. I mean, they could do like Gold Luigi or something. I'm glad that they're doing the Luigi Knight. It's kind of like Gold Dry Bowser. So it's a Bowser alt that gets its own gold flavor. I don't know. I'm a big fan of it. I think it's kind of cool. Maybe they could do more of that in the future. You know, we all love Luigi Knight's look. I mean, I'd love to see Mario Samurai Gold. That would be pretty sweet one day. Then we do get the Waluigi Mii suit and Monty Mole Mii suit. We got some new carts, including some massive carts. Some of the largest carts in the games get some brand new alts. That's right. The Warrior Wagon gets the gold and silver, and the Shielded Speedster gets the dark and gold. Absolutely insane. We also get the Waluigi Racer. Man, all 5 of those look intriguing to me. Most people probably 4 of those 5. But guys, that could be insane. What's your thoughts on the carts?
So I don't know, since we're getting so many new cards, I don't know how they're going to be distributed. We don't know which ones are going to be a part of the Spotlight Shop or which ones are going to be like rank rewards or gold pass rewards. So we get to see how we are going to be able to obtain these cards. I like the addition of the Waluigi Racer. It's a card that from Mario Kart Double Dash. In that game, it doesn't look big, so maybe it's going to be more like a medium-sized card. So maybe a lot of people will be more focused on the other 4 cards, since those are going to be the max massive hitbox ones. But I think you are going to be one of those few people who might go all in on that Waluigi racer, won't you?
Man, it's tough, man. For work, I have a very busy summer. August 1st is a big deadline for us. But this would be the exact tour I would normally love to go for a top 10. It's been over a year since I've given it a shot again. And honestly, I should have done it a couple more times last year when I had the time. I definitely do not have the time to go for it this tour. But this would be it, man. This would be the tour I would definitely do it. You know, if again, we're gonna get some tokens that won't ever go away. So that part you have to take into consideration, having a versus tour. But man, I don't know. This is a pretty epic tour. It's gonna be one that we look back and it might be one of the tours of the year. I don't know. I'm a big fan. We got 2 new gliders, the red shell glider, green shell glider. Pretty cool. Whatever. We'll have to see how those turn out. Red and green, I guess they're kind of playing into that Mario's versus Luigi type of thing. Can't blame them on that, but I'm actually really interested to see like what dark shielded speedster looks like. Again, we're recording this on Thursday around 5 o'clock, so I don't know what the dark means, but that sounds pretty sweet. That sounds pretty awesome. And then he does say Cupids does say it's still raining heavily in GBA Luigi circuit. Scenery remains the same. Nothing to be exciting to say about Mario Raceway. So there you go. There's the official end of the rundown. Thank you, Nap. Thank you guys for watching over 2 hours. Until next time, may the frenzy luck be with you. See you guys.